All right. So, good morning, everyone. As the de facto Sergeant at Arms, I declare this meeting open, the 13th meeting of Quantum Leap Toastmasters Club. And there are just a few ground rules to follow. First of all, you all are encouraged to turn on your videos and turn off your microphones. Secondly, we tend to avoid discussion about sex, religion, and politics, especially in a discriminatory or offensive manner. So we expect that that should also be honored here. And with that, I hand over the charge now to our president, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're muted.
As usual, I was a muted one. Thank you very much, Mr. Didi and fellow Toastmaster and most welcome guest. Today we are having a Ramadan. For the Muslim friend, it's a happy Ramadan to all of you. And today I have gone through one message that today is the happiness day of the world. So it's a very relative term, how you can become a happy. Someone might have a happy to have the money. Someone might be the happy to have a beautiful spouse. Someone might have happy to have a position in the society. Someone might be happy to having a big position. But it's totally, happiness is a relative term. To me, if you want to become happy, so very simple formula what I have it, and I learned from my father. And my father always quoting that don't try to be a copy to someone. And don't try to yourself that he has something and you are missing that one. You might have better options with you. You might have a good things as compared to what he has or she has it. But you must have to enjoy yourself what the Creator given to you. Once you start contentment and paying the gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that what He has given to you, you are the happiest person in the world. Once you start complaining that he has a car, I have a bicycle. I have a car. He has a aeroplane. So avoid to compare yourself, what you have it, with the others. And that in return, that the happiness is automatically coming within you. So we must have to be happy, what we have it. We must have to pay our gratitude, what we have it. We must have to thanks to all. Like we have a good friend like Imran Rana, Sarfaraz, DTM Talha or Khurram. That is a blessing. If you have a good friend, if you have a good colleague, that is also a blessing, that is also a happiness. So let's move to our business sessions of the club. Is any business? And that business session is confined to members only. The guest can ask the question, but they cannot participate in the business session of the club. Sridhar, just adjust your camera. We can see your, ball and beautiful hair. Oh, now it's okay. Thank you. So any business?
Mr. President, I would like to ask one request to the club. So the business and the request is actually that to reconsider the timing of the meeting. I mean, it's quite early on the weekend here. So if it is possible to move 1 hour, is just a request of consideration, and then we can decide it either here or in the EXCOM.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram. The timing is based on our membership around the globe. For example, we are in the Pakistan and the members, our members are from the United States. They have the evening time. So considering all odds and difficulties, we come across that is 9 a.m. in the morning is relatively is a suitable time around the globe. So, and that is the reason we are having our meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Hope you understand the constraint of the membership of the club. Thank you. Any other business? If none,
Yes, sir.
since we have
Sorry, sir. I'd just like to recap or provide a short recap of the last meeting. Our last meeting took place exactly 2 weeks ago, and the best speaker was won by DTM GK Ajay, whereas best table topics was won by Toastmaster Amir Bilal, best evaluator by DTM Suharna Kalyan, and best big three was won by Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Best round robin evaluator was won by yours truly. It had a special keynote address by Toastmaster Faisal Murad based on dihydrogen oxide. I won't divulge any more details about that wonderful keynote. You have to watch the video in order to discover it. Over to you, Mr. President.
thank you very much, acting secretary. So we are wearing, the different hat at a different time. Sometime we have the secretary, sergeant at arms, VP education, and believe in me, the whole club, whole Quantum League club is moving around the mother of the club, and that is none other than DTM Talha. Give a big round of applause. By having said this one, since it's the time given to me is 9 or 10 as a president, and now I am calling a person, he's a Toastmaster of the day. I met him, first I met him on online meeting, and after that, at one point of time, we met in Lahore, and we moved to have a breakfast together inside the wall city, and that was a wonderful time, and we learned from each other's lot of things. And some common things are there, but unfortunately, he's calling me a guru. I don't know why he's calling me a guru. So please put your hand together welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti. Over to Toastmaster Khurram.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for the kind words. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. So today, the theme of the day is rejuvenation. Since the human came into existence and they come to conscious, they start getting the knowledge. With that knowledge, they develop a logic, and with the logic, they start to understand their surroundings. They start comparing that. They start measurement around that. And with that, they start measuring something which is the most precious commodity. One thing which is the most absolute, one unidirectional measurement in this universe, time. And when the time pass, your age pass, and you become older, you look nice, cute, and beautiful. You become handsome, hot, and chic, and then you become wrinkly, bulky, and you know what I mean. And then the question arises, how I can be handsome, hot, and bold. So here come the thought of being young all the time, or being at least looking one. And here come the concept of rejuvenation, how I can rejuvenate. And that one particular point around the world is one of the most common three concepts across the world. One is the money, second is the relation, and third is how to keep yourself looks nice. So we'll keep talking around little more around that, but before that, let me introduce you today two of the important roles of the day. One is the role which is going to evaluate the thing which separate us or elevate us as the most authoritative animal around the world, language. So our language evaluator of the day is Toastmaster Usama Ali. Toastmaster Usama, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Puram Kishti. Hello, Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Today, I am the language evaluator for the meeting, and as a language evaluator, I will be providing you the constructive feedback regarding all your language. And apart from that, my role is to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day is stimulate. Its meaning is encouragement of something to make it develop or become more active. The word of the day is stimulate. Its meaning is encouragement of something to make it develop or become more active. Uh, I would highly recommend you to use it at least once in any of your speech or if you are coming to speak. So thank you so much, and the stage is yours now. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Language Evaluator Toastmaster Osama. And now the person who is going to have a note on a unidirectional commodity, timer. So, Mr. Toastmaster Imran Rana, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I'm sure I'm audible and visible. Just give me a thumbs up. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as a timer, my role is to make sure that the meeting proceedings are on time. Okay, there will be different timing for different segments. That is for, especially for keynote, if a keynote speech is from 18 to 22 minutes, then the keynote speaker, all he need is to pin the timer screen and the timing will change 20 minutes green, 21 minutes yellow, and 22 minutes red. And for prepared speeches from 5 to 7 minutes, at 5 minutes, the background change into green, at 6 minutes, yellow, and at 7 minutes, red. This red color means the speaker has only 30 seconds left to wrap up his or her speech. After that, he or she will be disqualified for voting. For lead evaluators, the timing is about 3 to 3 minutes at green at 2, green at 2, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3 minutes. And there will be 1 minute for each recommendation and commendation, and also for the speaker to respond. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Timer, Toastmaster Imran Rana. Fellow Toastmasters, looking into the history of rejuvenation, 425 BC, Herodotus, a Greek guy who started talking about the fountain of youth, the water that turns you young or at least keep you young at least. And that history moves along in different mythologies and different books that how you keep yourself young. The Juan, the African king in 14th century, shows some of the missionaries and travelers a lake in his area that keep his people young and they have a lifespan of at least 150 years. We know a very famous story of Alexander and the Moses who reached to a water that keep them alive forever or young. And it says that many of the Alexander soldiers passed through that water. And then the famous story of Juan Ponce de Leon, the French missionary who looked into the fountain of youth. Now, in other mythologies, it says in Urdu, Abi Hayat, or the word, the exalia, or the different words around that keep you young or alive forever. Today, the most important thing is that with science and technology, we have found several ways that keep ourselves motivated, happier just by looking ourselves beautiful, looking our skin shiny, keeping ourselves fit. And today we talk about that one as our keynote speaker, but in a moment. So there's a bit of a change in agenda, and I would skip the keynote speaker for the time being, and let's move on to our geek of the week. So over to you, Toastmaster DTM Saad Shoaib for the geek of the week.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests, we all love movies, entertainment, and all that. But when it's a movie about real life happening, I think that becomes even more watchable and also more entertaining. So I'll take this opportunity to actually recommend a show which is based in 3 seasons, and that's based on the drug cartels of Mexico and all that. So the name is Narcos, and that revolves around the life of the infamous Pablo Escobar, how he manages operation and all that. So we learn things. We learn things what he did, and also what we must not do. So by that prospect, I think that would be a very nice watch, and I'll really once again recommend it. Over to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you, DTM Saad Shoaib, the geek of the week, and what a geek. So let's if you have gone through that Pablo Escobar's series, I mean, that's great. If not, please give a chance, and I'm sure you will love it. So, dear Toastmasters, as you know that our standard Toastmaster meetings are comprised of 2 main sessions. One is the prepared speeches and other is the Toast table topics. In addition to the specially what we got in the Quantum Leap is the keynote speaker and the geek of the week. So let's move on toward our signature program of prepared speeches in today's session. And our first speaker, she is a very nice, soft-spoken whenever I have seen her. And to be very honest, whenever she delivers speech, I learn a lot from her, especially on the methodology of her delivery and the script of her on the language. She is Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Dear VP Education, may I know the lead evaluator for her if Toastmaster JK Ajay is not there? Are you going to take the lead for the lead evaluator?
I think I will have to take the lead because DK Ajay is facing some connectivity issues. He just informed me. So yes, I believe in absence of an alternative, since everyone else has a role. Uh, so maybe DTM Saad, would you like to take the role of lead evaluator for this speech?
Well, actually, I'm just leaving, so
All right, okay. So I believe I
that's
will.
why I kind of follow you.
I will have to take it then. So yes, I am the lead evaluator. Uh, yeah.
So please, can you please take us through the details of the project?
Sure. So Toastmaster Mubina Rauf is delivering her project from Pathway Innovative Planning, Level 2, Understanding Your Leadership Style. The purpose of the project is for a person to identify his or her primary style or styles, and also to share some aspect of his or her primary leadership style or discuss leadership styles in general. The duration of the project is 5 to 7 minutes. But before I announce the name of the project, let me also announce the tag team that will be doing the evaluation. So for commendations, we will have DTM Saif Ali Sheikh and DTM Sudarshan. And for recommendations, I would like to enlist the help, since I've become the lead evaluator, I'd like to enlist the help of,
Master of the day, you can make
sorry?
you can replace recommendation with Khurram Said Chishti.
Yeah, so I'd like to enlist your help, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, for recommendation. And the second recommendation will be from Toastmaster Imran Rana. So everyone, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Silence, please. Silence, please. Toastmaster Mubina Rauf.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Am I audible and visible? The more a man speaks, the less he's understood, says Abraham Lincoln. Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, good morning. I understood this quote as a student teacher when I was being trained to teach English to speakers of other languages, and as a first was observed by a trainer from Cambridge. The joint feedback that we got afterwards was unexpected for me and my peers. The trainer told me specifically that I effectively use the tool of wait time while teaching. A peer asked what that was, and she explained. When she asks a question, Mubina keeps quiet for a while, which gives enough time to the student to collect and compose an answer. And mind you, girls, people who don't have the patience to remain silent and give that wait time to their students, they hurriedly blurt the answer. Maybe they should go and find something else to do. They cannot be good teachers. Now, perpetually being a person of a few words and sometimes being intimidated for that too, I was happy, of course, to know that my silence is actually a space we create for communication. and my students are facilitated by it. But for Toastmasters who are public speakers, this is a kind of an anticlimax. How can silence be a tool of communication for leaders, especially? I can't believe it. Silence isn't even communication at all. And that's so for leaders? No. That is how many people may argue. Having said that, I know some accomplished Toastmasters, veteran leaders who use words judiciously and thus create a space for reflection. Reflection that is best done in silence. We have myriads of published material on Toastmasters, public speaking, and how we evaluate people. And most of the evaluation depends upon non-verbal communication, how we, body language, posture, eye contact. So why not silence? That too is a part of our speeches. And as leaders, we know that the ultimate goal of all our activities in Toastmasters is communication. We always want to convey the message to our teammates, and that too clearly. And sometimes silence can do that better than words. Silence manifests itself in many ways. Sometimes it is damaging. We all know that when it happens, when silence shuts the communication channels and creates barriers among people who need each other, it can be awkward and sometimes fearful. I know that being a leader at my workplace, when somebody was during a project, somebody got quite quiet and silent during that, and it was strange for me, and it took some time for me to dig into it and find out that she was being bullied by some other people, and I had to take some steps to make the matter straight. On the other hand, as the cliched saying goes, silence is golden. Such silence is confident, reflective, peaceful, and respectful. It enhances and promotes and maintains a relationship. For example, again, when we are working together as leaders, as Toastmasters, when people come and give their opinions, sometimes they want to pour their heart out about their struggle, about their challenges. And we start, giving them advice from the very beginning. Instead, we should be all ears and listen to them till they conclude. Most of us don't have that kind of patience. When we listen to people, the bond gets stronger between us and we facilitate our work. Now, coming to social life, unfortunately, research proves that the major challenges in family and couple counseling is communication problems. Why? Because we have never got into the habit of listening silently. We talk too much. Our focus is winning the argument and not communicating. Yes, there are times when my partner needs some verbal validation, but then there are times which I don't know. They just want to have a considerate, silence from our side. Keeping quiet makes us free. It frees us to listen to people who matter in our lives and pay attention to their non-verbal communication. The goal of communication should not be to win, but share information and reach a decision. Being silent at times not only reduces the noise, but also speeds up resolution of our challenges and problems. We need time and patience to learn it and practice it at the right time. People who have been successful in doing so are powerful leaders and communicators. Remember, dear Toastmasters, silence is the most effective tool for leadership and best for communication. Give it a try, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mobina Rauf. Silence, please. I would like to call the lead evaluator to give the feedback.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mobina Rauf. What a stimulating speech we heard right now. You always manage to surprise us and to delight us because your content is so unique. Your delivery style is so refreshingly understated and sincere. And all those properties were there in the speech today as well. You started communicating even before the start of your speech because you selected an absolutely fantastic name for your speech, Silence Please. And Toastmaster wish I had commented in the group last night that we have such wonderful names for our speeches and see how effective the naming of a speech could be. We always tend to not focus that much on naming of the speech, but trust me, 50% of the impact at the start is right there in the name. And that was an absolutely fantastic name to select. You started with a beautiful quote, which was amazingly fitted into the narrative. Usually, I'm not a great fan of quote. Everybody knows that. I'd like people to share their own original thoughts, but your usage, I cannot fault. It was splendid. You explored silence as a tool of leadership, and that is something that is truly unique, I believe, for most of us listening to you today. That is an entirely new avenue of thinking. One more thing that I loved about your speech was that your transitions were bookended by quotes. So every time you transition to the next stage, there was a very apt quote to take us there. And that was once again something very amazing to see. I'm running out of adjectives here with respect to your language and your techniques. And of course, your speech was thought-provoking as always. It ended up giving us a lot of new avenues of thought to explore. A few improvement areas. First of all, I did not find in your speech the exploration of leadership styles that is part of this project. So maybe next time when you deliver this project, you give a brief exploration of various leadership styles that are there and what's your preferred leadership style. Secondly, here and there, uncharacteristically, I saw you stumble today in a couple of places. So maybe a little more prep would have been welcome. And lastly, when you were talking about real life situations, a bit of dialogue, a bit of energetic examples, that would have added some variety to your speech, like quoting someone in their tone of voice, or maybe amplifying your own delivery to illustrate the various situations that you face and which made you learn that silence is also a tool of leadership. But overall, if you had covered the leadership styles part and add some illustrations, you made a wonderful speech that was delivered wonderfully and with fantastic use of language techniques. So that concludes my evaluation, and now I will now move on to my amazing tag team of evaluators. For commendations, I will invite DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. Over to you, sir.
Let me recheck. I'm not mute now. Okay, good. Toastmaster Mobina, you put me today that I'm in a classroom and you was giving a lecture. Silence is golden. What a strong phrase. And what I like about your delivery part, women normally utters 180 words per minute, and they are just uttering the word. Sometime the student like me, they forget what she said before. But today, what I notice, you are uttering pace of the word is like me 120 words per minute, and that's come from the leaders. Normally, the leader's pace is 100 to 120 words. So you are a leader, and about your language, I think the language evaluators will do the justice, because I myself feel that I can't do the justice of your language. Over to the evaluator, lead evaluators.
Thank you so much, DTM Saf. Moving on to our second lead evaluator, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. If there is a better way to start a morning, please show me. This speech from Toastmaster Mubina was an eye-opener in more ways than one. One was the language that she used. Two was the manner of her delivery. It was almost as if a gentle breeze was blowing on a hot summer's day and you were sitting under a tree enjoying the breeze and contemplating life in itself. That was the profundity of the speech. Three, while it was a gentle zephyr that was blowing, it served as a stimulant to ponder deeply into the concept of silence and leadership. So, all in all, a very profound speech delivered in a manner which was befitting the topic in itself and by a person who was in complete command of the subject and the language of delivery. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. Excellence breeds excellence, and the language that was used in the speech seems to have unleashed linguistic giants within the evaluators as well. Good luck, Mr. Language Evaluator, today. Next, we have our recommendations, and our first recommendation will be from Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti.
Thank you, lead evaluator, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. On the great speeches like this, when a recommendation guy is being called, it's been seen that we have given a role of being a bad boy. But since it's been a role, we will play it very well. It was a great speech, but since there is always a room of improvement, the first thing I would suggest that since you are talking about in a very nice space, at least if you don't want to walk, which is the best part, if you are at least half body visible and you are showing a bit of a gestures, a bit more of a face expressions, adding something that where you need to be angry or sad, and or at least you can put it a table half so you can we can see your elbows, and at least you can do use of your hand gestures. Thank you very much. Over to you, lead evaluator.
Thank you so much. Now for the last recommendation, Toastmaster Imran Khan.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha. Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, you delivered a wonderful speech. Few recommendations from my side. Since already mentioned by Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti, what I wanted to see in your speech that throughout the speech, I didn't find the vocal variety. If we draw the graph, so the graph line would more like straight line or have some little curves. So bring the vocal variety in your speech. Plus, your speech title was Silence, Please. When you mentioned the statement silence, then what if you could pause a little, have some silence, so that it would create a good impact. Since I was the timer as well, so you need to work upon the timing of the speech as well. So overall, it was a wonderful speech, very thought-provoking. Over to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Imran. Toastmaster Mubina, within 1 minute, your feedback about the evaluations that you heard.
Nothing much. It was quite a feat to come and speak on an early Ramzan morning. But thank you so much to all my evaluators. I will keep all my, and thank you for all that praise. It was just coming out. I hadn't prepared much, to be honest. Of course, because of Ramzan, that is a great excuse. And the recommendations, I will surely add this to into my notebook for improvement. And next time, hopefully, you will see me more improved and better than today. Thank you so much. Back to my lead evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mubina, for sharing that bit of magic with us. That is your speech. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, lead evaluator, and thank you, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Dear fellow Toastmaster, Jack of all trades, master of none. We have heard that. And our upcoming speaker, it fits on him, but not on this context, because most of you have heard Jack of all trades, master of none, but few of you have heard the full version, which says Jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than master of one. He is peg that can fit in every hole and do it the best of his things. I'm going to call TTM Sudarshan for his speech, and to introduce his speech, I'll call his lead evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Before I will explain the objectives of the speech, I request, yes, DTM Talha to be the timer. DTM Sudarshan, as we all know, a very distinguished speaker. Today, he's going to deliver a speech, a special occasion speech. Just a minute. A special occasion speech. The speech title is Cometh the Hour, Cometh the Man. DTM Sudarshan, please let me know if I pronounce it correctly.
Yes, absolutely
Okay.
correct.
So the time duration is 3 to 4 minutes. And before that, we had a team of I have a team of evaluator with me. And starting off with commendation, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, Saif Ali Sheikh. Recommendation by GKJ is absent.
Yes, DK Ajay cannot connect. So maybe we can ask Toastmaster Usama to be one of the recommenders. As
Okay.
lead evaluator, you have full authority to shuffle things around.
So recommendation, we have Toastmaster Usama and distinguished Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir. So let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Sudarshan to deliver a speech. Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much.
Just give me a
Yeah.
few seconds
Sure.
to get the timing cards ready, because I'm using a new device and the cards are not stored on that. So
No problem.
just give me a few seconds. Yes, now you can start. It's 3 to 4 minutes, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
There's a saying that in Mumbai, there are three things which are a constant: the monsoon, the local trains, and the arrival of Krishnan. This is a person, fellow Toastmasters and guests, that I met almost 40 years ago. And I met while I was being chased by a person with a big stick because I had stolen guavas from his garden. Without a word, Krishnan pulled me behind a transformer and said, "Sit." The old man with the stick was searching for me, couldn't find me, and we enjoyed a sumptuous breakfast of ripe guavas. From that day on, if there has been one constant in my life, it's been this gentleman. I was on a date, very reluctantly, trying to book tickets for a movie when I get a gentle tap on my shoulder. I turn around. यार मेरे लिए भी एक टिकट ले लेना. Get a ticket for me as well. Guess what? He inserted himself between the two of us. And I'm very happy to report that she is happily married, mother of 4, settled somewhere in the midst of Africa, and I am fancy free and footloose in Dubai. Thank you, Krishnan, for being there when it really mattered. Of course, life is not all fun and games, but when Krishnan is around, fun is the only way to be because he brings joy and mirth to everything that we do. He's been a constant with me at all points in time. When my mother was ill, he was there with me. When my father was battling for his life in the hospital, he was there with me. When I was having second thoughts about getting married, he's the one who put his hand around my shoulder and said, "Dude, everyone's neck gets chopped once in his lifetime. Today is your turn. Why are you so hassled? Go forth and put your neck on the chopping block because that's your destiny." What I'm trying to communicate, ladies and gentlemen, is that in each of our lives, there is that one constant which is always there, which propels us from point A to point B unknowingly. At times, acts as the wind beneath our wings. At other times, acts as the kick on our backside that we so richly deserve. But at some other times, acts as the guiding light to the path on which we choose to tread. Let me quote another example. A friend of mine decided to get married to a woman 5 years older than him from a different community and a different religion. His father was livid, apoplectic with rage, and he said, "I will kill my son." Krishnan goes to the gentleman and says, "Uncle, do you need a blade, a sword, or a knife? What would you prefer? After all, you're going to chop up a 6'5" tall human being. What do you want?" That gentleman saw the humor in the situation, couldn't resist laughing, turns around to him and says, "You rascal, from childhood you've been doing this." And that's precisely what he does. He infuses life with the zest of living. He infuses life with the funny side of things. He infuses life with irreverence, which makes you look deep into yourself and say, why am I taking it so seriously? Because to quote Krishnan's most favorite line, "Dude, don't take life so seriously. No one gets out of it alive. So why are you hassled? Laugh and the world will laugh with you. Cry and you will cry alone." And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been the one constant in my life. Every time I'm faced with a crisis, I look around and see the benign smiling face of Krishnan standing there and waving me on. I hope you also find your Krishnans in your life, because today I would like to thank him from the bottom of my heart for pulling me aside and making me sit beside that transformer. Because guess what? The taste of guavas still lingers in my mouth. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. Over to you, lead evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, DTM Sudarshan, could anyone request Khurram Qasim to switch off, to mute his mic. Okay. It is when speaker like DTM Sudarshan in front of you and you are asked to become a lead evaluator or asked you to evaluate DTM Sudarshan's speech, it is quite intimidating plus quite challenging. Today's DTM Sudarshan delivered a social speech that was about from 3 to 4 minutes. You delivered a wonderful speech. What I like about the speech is the speech title, quite catchy and amazing speech title. Since you were delivering the speech in your comfortable zone, I observed a very good vocal variety, plus wonderful gestures, plus the sincerity, the way you delivered the speech. They were all there, and they were outstanding. Okay, okay, there's few areas of improvement which I would like to highlight upon, where you can where you can improve upon, is that since you were using the virtual background and it was quite disturbing when you expressing your hand gestures, when you're expressing your movement, they were hidden because of the virtual background, and sometimes due to technical glitches, due to technical issues, I was struggling to hear. It was difficult for me to listen the speech carefully. So for that, I have a very wonderful team of evaluators that will definitely give you some recommendation and commendation. So with that, I would like to first call my commendation, and she is Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. So Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran. DTM Sudarshan. Wow. I've in this long time in Toastmasters, I've heard many specialty speeches, but very rarely I've found such kind of humor in a 4-minute speech. Humor, subtle humor, and with a very, a very special kind of a topic. And if my speech you were saying was like sitting under a tree and enjoying the breeze, this was like, standing on the beach, listening to the waves and enveloped in the shadow of that divine constant, Krishnan. Thank you so much for the speech. That's from my side. Back to the lead evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mubina. Now moving on to our second recommendation. And let me request distinguished Toastmaster Saif Ali Sher to share his thoughts.
Thank you very much, lead evaluators, and in particular Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan. What a wonderful speech you have delivered today. It's a special occasion speech, and the first project of special occasion speech is a toast. And I can congratulate you that you are successfully toast Krishna, your friend, that he helped you in so many times and so many places. And that is the gestures that you have put together and toast Krishna. But I'm just acceding to the commendation, to the recommendation also. Since the toast is that one, I expect from you that you can raise the toast to Krishna. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you so much, DTM Saif. Now moving towards the recommendation side, sorry. Let me call Toastmaster Rama first to share his recommendation. Over to you.
You're muted.
Toastmaster Osama, you are not audible.
You're not audible, Toastmaster. We heard a bit, but can you speak again?
Thank you so much, lead evaluator.
No, it's very faint. Your voice is very faint. Can you?
I think.
Yeah, now it got better. Yeah.
Thank you so much, lead evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana. Of course, life is not all about fun and games. Laugh and the world will laugh with you, and cry and you will cry alone. What an exciting speech, Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan. My recommendation for you is, as you were telling us such an exciting story of your friend, there was a little bit, you can say that from your side that your hand gestures were not visible or your camera was not quite clear. So you can work on that part. Otherwise, the speech was good and the story was great. That's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Osama. Now moving towards the second recommendation by distinguished Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, lead evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana, and Toastmaster Sudarshan. I liked your presentation that you had a lot of gestures. Unfortunately, I only saw one when you moved your hand, and because of your virtual background, we couldn't see the entire hand. From left to right, you are positioned correctly. You are in the middle of the screen. But from the top to the bottom, you're towards the bottom. Your head's supposed to be towards the top. The best way is that from the top, you imagine that there's an apple on your head, and there should be one apple between the top of the screen and your head. In your case, it appeared that I could place 5 or 6 apples on top of each other. And that's the one reason why your hands were below the screen and we were not able to see sometimes just barely the top of your hands. So appreciate that in the future you position yourself so we can see your hands as you're moving them while you're giving your speech. Thank you for your fine presentation. Back to you, to lead evaluator.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir. Okay, let me call our speaker, DTM Sudarshan, to please share his thought about the evaluations.
Thank you, Mr. Lead Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and my specific evaluators, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Each and every recommendation is valid, and this feedback about my virtual background as well as the positioning is something that I will definitely work upon. For the commendation evaluators, thank you so much for being so benign. I can point out a few more flaws in the way I delivered. Hopefully the next time around, if I try doing the same speech, I will deliver an improved version of this. But all in all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to deliver this speech today. Back to you, Mr. Lead Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Lead Evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana, and DTM Sudarshan for a wonderful speech. Fellow Toastmasters, rejuvenation. And we talked in the beginning about our body, and that we can do it in many ways by doing a healthy food, doing a good workout, putting a wonderful cosmetics and the wonderful herbal products available all across the world for having a very blushy, nice, moist, shiny skin. But what about the other part of our life, our spiritual rejuvenation? And there are many ways to do this one in every part of the religion. For instance, in Ramadan, the Muslims are fasting and they are reevaluation their spirit, a spirit of feeling God more near to them, more connected with them. On the other part of the same month of Holy Ramadan, where Muslims are practicing Ramadan, our Christian friends are practicing Easter, and they are practicing the same spirit to be more connected to the God. With this note, I would like to move on to our keynote, where we will see how we can rejuvenation of our body with a great topic of diabolically disastrous desi diet with Toastmaster Savarna Kalyan and our very own DTM Tala bin Hamid, our VPE. Over to you, keynote speakers.
Okay, before starting, what are the timings?
Okay.
It is 20 minutes
Yeah.
all in all.
It is 20
18
minutes.
to
All,
20 minutes.
yeah. But Toastmaster
20
Imran,
minutes,
yeah, it is
20 minutes all in all, including the question answer, if any.
Exactly.
Yeah. The question answer is not planned because the keynote is itself in the form of a question and answer. But you are welcome to actually post your any questions in the chat box. And Mr. Timer, please note that you have a slightly tough time because the structure of the keynote is that I will have 3 chunks of 3 minutes each, and each of that will be responded by DTM Swarna again for 3 minutes. So there will be 6 chunks of 3 minutes each. I hope that's clear. So you don't need to show all 3 colors. You just show the red after 3 minutes are complete. All right. Or 2.5 minutes.
At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll throw the red color so that
Yeah, exactly.
that
exactly.
indicates 30 seconds left.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Great
All right.
coordination. Over to you, keynote speakers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, dear all, this is something like the likes of which you will never hear. And I believe both myself and DTM Swarna, thank God it's a virtual meeting. Otherwise, we would be ambushed by all of you, especially people belonging to the subcontinent, because of what we are about to say. But we had this very interesting discussion a few days back, and the idea for this keynote arose out of that. So what I will do is I will be pointing out the flaws in our dietary habits, specifically dietary habits of people of subcontinent, and DTM Swarna will be sharing her wisdom about how to sidestep them, how to neutralize their harmful effects. So I will start with the process of food preparation. And now, Toastmaster Imran, now the 3 minute chunk start, because that was the 1 minute intro. Yeah. The ingredients that we use. Have you noticed our ingredients are different from everywhere else around the world? And I blame, do you know who I blame for it? I blame God for it, because God endowed this region with so rich crops of everything: spices, fruits, vegetables, endless resources, endless dairy. The problem is that evolved into us eating like Mughal emperors, even if we are living in a slum. So all of our meals have to have tons and tons and tons of spices, and then some more tons of spices to kill the effects of the initial batch of spices. It has to have tons and tons of oil or ghee or any other oil, canola oil, you name it. In our food, oil is used as an ingredient. Think about it. See anywhere outside the subcontinent, and you will see that they use oil to heat the food. But we use oil as food. We won't accept a dish as a legitimate dish unless there's a 1-inch thick layer of oil floating on top of it. Think about it. Secondly, and thirdly, of course, we all avoid vegetables like the plague. You know, from a person living in a slum to a person living in a palace, the thought is the same. Vegetables. Oh, no, not for us. They are for sick people. They are for sick people. Take them away from us. So we hate vegetables. We eat pulses. We eat endless amounts of meat, endless amounts of spices, with no regards to food groups, with no regards to balance. And That is where our misfortune starts, because what you put in your body, the poor body has to process it. And that is why most people in the subcontinent, whether rich or poor, whether they are able to afford food or not able to afford food, they're not healthy. I'm sorry. You'll hardly find anyone healthy in the subcontinent unless they are putting special work into it. Do you ever wonder why, when you go to a dietitian or a doctor with some heart trouble, the first thing they ask you is to stop eating like a desi? Over to you, DTM Swarna.
Fabulous Saturday morning to all of you here. And thank you so much for this session. I just got back from the hospital for one of our friends, 41-year-old, is having a heart attack. And the doctor simply said it was his food. And yes, ingredients, our Indian food, subcontinent food, has ingredients which are good, but when you use them as in the proportion that's required. So what is it that makes our food tasty? Yes, we can make food tasty, but we need to be watchful about the proportion that we have in our food. And the solution is, I'm sure all of us know, carbohydrates should be only about half of your food, of your plate. Proteins should be quarter of your plate. And the other quarter should come from fiber, vegetables, and fruits. And that would make our diet or our food healthy. And we have everything in our food, nothing that we don't have. It's just that we go wrong in the proportion. We go wrong in how much of oil can we take. Oil is very little. Oil is supposed to be for garnishing. We need good, healthy oils. Are we using healthy oils in our food? Ghee is good, but only in proportion. What is that proportion that we need? It should be used as a way to garnish our food and not as a layer over our food, because then it is going in and getting processed and getting stored in our body as fat, and which is not really good. Excess of carbohydrates gets stored as fat. So we need to be very watchful about how our proportion. Next time, I invite all of you to look at your plate and see, do you have enough protein? Eating meat is definitely not wrong, but how much of meat versus how much of fat versus how much of carbohydrates you have there, and versus the fiber that we need for our body. What happens with cholesterol, or when does cholesterol get formed, is when we do not take attention, we do not pay attention to the fiber that is required in our body, fiber that washes out the fat in our body. So that is what we need to work out in terms of our desi diet. I love the ingredients, but let's watch out to our plate to see whether we have this half, quarter in our plates. Over to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you so much, DTM Swarna. And you just mentioned about your friend that had a heart attack. Can you guess? Our kitchen drainage had a heart attack too, and it upchucked everything it had ever eaten. When the plumber came and checked on the drain, did you know what he said? The line is choked with oil. So there you have it. It's equally detrimental for the hardware. And that brings me to our ways of cooking, the way we cook food. First of all, we cook everything beyond recognition. In the subcontinent, something is not cooked until and unless it has lost all semblance of nutrition. It has lost its original physical form and has become something unrecognizable. Think about it. The way we cook fish, the way we cook meat, we won't consider it cooked unless it is something other than meat. It has lost all its proteins. We don't cook vegetables. We cook either we don't cook vegetables at all, we don't make them part of our food, or if we do, we cook them and cook them and cook them until they become an organic slush. And then we add tons and tons of oil and salt and spices so that any last surviving molecules of nutrition also die a sad, sad death. Not only that, not only are methods of cooking pathetic, but we don't have a sense of how much to cook. We cook not to eat, we cook to store. We know that no matter how many tons of food we cook, half of it is going to go in the refrigerator. And then we all know what happens to the food that is in the refrigerator. So that is also something that we need to see, and that ties directly into food wastage because we tend to waste a lot of food. So we overcook the meat, we don't eat the vegetables, or we overcook the vegetables. We also add endless spices, and that makes it harmful for our body. And we also add tons and tons of oil. Can you imagine in some dishes, the meat has to be boiled first and then it has to be fried along with a ton of spices? Can you imagine what is becoming of that meat as an organic substance? We are the only cuisine in the entire world where ravani or oily is a whole style of cooking. I don't find that in any other cuisine in anywhere in the world. Over to you, DTM Swarma.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Nutrition. When we talk about nutrition, we have ingredients that have the nutrition value, but how do we cook is where the difference is between how the Desis cook versus the rest of the world. I live in Singapore, where majority are Chinese, and I see how they cook. For example, their veggies are always blanched. What does blanching mean? Blanching means that they just dip the vegetable after washing it well into hot water and leave it there for a few minutes till it is semi-cooked. And then they garnish it with salt and pepper or any other spice. How can we do that in our cooking? We can marinate so that we get the same effect, but with no oil, but maybe use yogurt. That's what we do. Marinate it and just stir fry. And that could retain the nutrition of the veggies. As far as fish is concerned, or as far as any of the meat is concerned, we know that steaming is one healthy way to keep the nutrition alive in the meat, as well as to add flavor to whatever we are eating. So that is how we should look at seeing how can we change our cooking habits so that instead of frying, can we steam? And we do also have now, I'm not sure about Pakistan, but I do understand that there is air fryers available, which in a way can reduce the oil, but we fry it using the temperature. Baking, these are different ways of trying it out. We have the tandoor, which is so fantastic, 1,000+ years of discovery, but we just need to learn how to use them effectively so that we can modify our eating and to keep the nutrition value in our food. That is very important because oil is not a solution to food. What we need is to make sure that we have the nutrition intact, and at the same time, our spices add taste and flavor and not just for color and everything else. So we need to modify go back to our roots. Probably, I'm sure our ancestors have been using or cooking well. It's just that over the years, we have modified it to taste instead of nutrition. So over to you, Talhaji.
Thank you so much, DTM Swarna. And that brings us to the final phase, which is our eating habits. Now, everywhere else in the world, there are portions and servings. Even in a McDonald's, there's a portion. And McDonald's is known for being the unhealthiest place to eat in the world. But trust me, it is not as unhealthy as a typical house in the subcontinent. Why? Because everyone else eats out of plates. We eat out of cauldrons. We eat out of huge dishes. A cauldron filled with curry, a huge dish piled to the top with rice, along with all the condiments and pulses and everything. And we keep eating and eating and eating and eating. There is no concept of a start, a middle, and an end. We only stop when we cannot eat any further. And while this may come across as humorous to most of us, trust me, that's not how most of the world eats. They eat to sustain themselves. We keep eating bread until we run out of curry. And when we do run out of curry, there is still some bread left. So we take more curry. Similarly, if we are eating something with rice, we keep eating rice until we run out of raita or dal or whatever we are eating it with. But then when we run out of that, there's still some rice left. So we keep eating and eating and eating. And we also have no sense on what to serve with tea, what to serve at different times of the day. Whenever someone comes, we think it is a matter of pride to serve them with the fattiest and unhealthiest food possible, because fatty, unhealthy equates to luxurious in our book. So that means that we end up eating unhealthy food all around the day. We also have a bad habit of taking liquids right while we are eating. And this is not recommended by, I mean, everyone from God to religions, to nutritionists, to doctors. Everybody is against this practice that you should not drink water or other liquids while eating your food. You should drink it either sometime later or sometime before. So, and we also waste too much food, as I mentioned earlier, especially in large gatherings. We invariably take out heaps and heaps which we cannot realistically eat, and yet we take it out, and then most of it gets either thrown away or gets passed on to some second tier consumption channel, like heaven forbid, like some poor and the needy, but most of it actually goes to, guess what, restaurants. So over to you, DTM Squadron.
Thank you, DTM Talha. How many of you here have breakfast in the morning? And what time do you have it? Yes, Sudarshan.
So
What
my
time
breakfast
do you have
time
it?
is between 7 and 7:30 in the morning.
Yes, fantastic. Anybody else?
Yes, mine is the same.
Okay. How about dinner?
It's between 7:30 to 8.
Wow,
Same
that's
here.
fantastic, right? That is a fantastic. Yes, yes, DTM side.
My dinner time is depending on the sunset. After the sunset, I pray and then taking the dinner.
Yeah, this is perfectly a healthy way to have dinner. But if you see across, all of us like to have dinners which are late, or we have even our breakfast, which is very late. We may end up having a 9 a.m. breakfast or a 10 a.m. breakfast, and we push everything behind. So that is something that we all need to. When we talk about food, having time or food on time is very important. That's the first thing. Second is how much do we eat? I'm sure in our practice we have had katoris, right? But we have just made our katoris bigger. That's all. I'm sure our plates used to be katoris of dal and rice and a salad. But we have made it all into a luxury now. We have expanded our plates. We used to have small plates, but now we have gone in for a bigger plate. And that's where the problem is. It's not that we don't have a practice. It's just that we have misused the practice, or we have expanded our practice. And as like anyone else, like course meals, we also have course meals. It's just that we go on into this thing of we finish, we don't want to leave anything on our plates and end up adding, instead of wasting food, we add it to our waste. And that's how we end up eating more. And of course, because the taste is there, we love our food. All of us, I think across, nobody can deny that we love our food. So we need to know that food, how much of food we eat, what time do we eat is important, because that determines how healthy we are. I'll just share with you what happens with my colleagues here. We have a multicultural society here. And I find that irrespective of how busy the day is, my Chinese friends will say, let us go out for food at 12. They will never, ever change that. They say that is important. We can talk in the lunch table, but we should eat at 12. And I think that's something that we all need to learn. Work is important, but health comes first. Over to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you so much.
I probably have to conclude it now. Friends, as I said, we just got to know that one of our friends had a heart attack. He's only 41 years old. And it just boils down to one single thing, and that is bad eating habits. And what does bad eating habits mean? It means that not eating on time, not eating the right food, and of course, most importantly, also sleeping or sleeping immediately after food, right? All these affect how our body functions. And friends, we all have one for the whole life that cannot be got again, and that is our body. And when we misuse our body, there is no way of repairing it. We can only sort of maintain what is there. So let us all take care of our body, take care of what we eat and what goes in, just not in terms of food, but I think it also in terms of thoughts, because thoughts also affect what we eat. So let us learn to eat just in terms of thought and food, the right things that will make us healthy in our mind and in our body. And that's how I would like to conclude this session of how, as Desis, we can change the way we eat our food. And thank you so much for the opportunity, and over to you. Who's the Toastmaster? Who do I offer it to? Thank you so much.
Thank you, DTM Savarna. What a key note, ladies and gentlemen. A diabolic disastrous desi diet. And that what we can take away from today to have a right rejuvenation for our mind and the body. Without wasting any further time, let's move to our second signature section of Toastmasters, is the exprompting, where the speakers will be speak out of anything. Mr. DTM Talha, you have something to add?
Yes, I'd just like to float the polls for the best speaker and best evaluator. So need to confirm from the timer who qualified. Or maybe they can confirm in the chat box, and meanwhile you can continue.
Thank you, DTM Talha. So, fellow Toastmasters, in very short time, you will see polls in front of you, and that's to have a bit of a recognition to the speakers, to the evaluator, to motivate them to be again coming on stage to speak and evaluate. So please put your votes in for the best speaker, for the best evaluator.
Okay, I would like to add here that one speaker was over time. Toastmaster Mubina, 7 minutes and 34 seconds.
All right. And what about all the other evaluators? All are, and round robin ones too? They are within time?
The second one are all within time. About the first one, I can. Lead evaluator is within time. First commendation by DTM Saf was 1 minute and 11 seconds. Then DTM Sudarshan was 1 minute and 5 seconds. Then Toastmaster Khurram 59 seconds. And Toastmaster Ibrahim, 1 minute.
All right, so all are within that. All right. So I'm floating the poll. Meanwhile, let's continue with the meeting.
Thank you, DTM Talha. So today we will call the table topic master. He is, as he says, I'm calling him time to time guru. And he is the guru not for me, for many of the Toastmasters around the world. He's been on many roles in the district, in the area levels. He's been the district governor for area 79, if I'm not mistaken. Pardon me if I'm taking the wrong number in the district, but he is a role model for Toastmasters who want to see what best can be done. He is Toastmaster, a distinguished Toastmaster, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. DTM Saif Ali Sheikh, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. T.M. Modi, Toastmaster Khurram Saeed, the champion. And fellow Toastmasters and the guest, are you ready? So my question for topic is depend on your answer. First, I will ask a small question, then I will ask you to elaborate your question. Is it okay? Thank you very much. And my first table topic speaker is Toast, and at the end, I will tell you why I was asking this. Okay, so you will know yourself after I will explain why I was asking these questions. My first question to Toastmaster Sridhar. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Unmute yourself, please.
Yes, sir.
Name 3 animals.
Name 3 animals. A giraffe, an elephant, and a dragon or snake.
Okay, you mentioned about the giraffe, elephant, and dragon. Can you explain why elephant? 1 minute for you now.
Okay. Okay, I personally love the elephant, not just because it is such a huge, majestic creature, but also because it is such a gentle creature, and it does so much for us humans without much complaint. To me, it is amazing that such a huge animal has been trained to remain submissive when it's tied with just a simple rope to a stick in the ground. Because this is part of conditioning, where it's taught from young that this is a big chain which it can never break when it was younger. So it grows older, it just stops trying. So, and it has a marvelous memory, from what I'm told, and it can even remember interactions with people who were very kind to it in months and years of the past. And it shows its gratitude and it shows its understanding of needful people around it. Unfortunately, the elephant is not admired for its nice tusk when it gets killed for that, for the ivory. But to me, the elephant as a gentle creature, as a majestic example of what God has put on this planet, it's so amazing to me that I wish I had one of my own, to be honest. But unfortunately, I live in an apartment, also in Singapore, like DTM Sorna, and I just don't have the space. Otherwise, I definitely would take care and learn more of this gentle, majestic giant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sridhar. Let's move to another speaker, Toastmaster Umar Shahi. You're with us.
Yes, I'm here.
So my same questions to you. Name the 3 elephants.
3 elephants.
But not 3 elephants, 3 animals.
Okay. I would say cats. I would say rabbits, and I would say eagles.
Okay. For you, you mentioned about 3 animals, cat, rabbit, and eagles. You have 1 minute. Why you select the cat?
Okay. So first of all, good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Apologies for interruption.
Please.
The speaker has only 1 minute to speak, or 2 minutes and 30 seconds to speak.
1 to 2 minutes. After the question I asked.
Okay. Got it.
Yes, Toastmaster Omar, continue about the cat.
Yes. So good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and I hope you all are having a very rejuvenating morning, and all of our minds have been stimulated by the excellent speeches being done by our amazing keynote speakers and other speakers as well. Coming to the answering of the question asked by DTM Saif Ali Sheikh, that why did I select the cat as one of my favorite animals? So to start with, cats are really cute. Really, there's no getting around it. You cannot pass the cuteness of a cat when it's looking at you. Cats are lovable creatures. They're very easygoing. They don't make a lot of mess. They don't make a lot of noise. If you love them, they will show more love back. And one thing which I recently got to know after having a cat in my own home for the first time was that cats actually respond to your emotions. Yes, that is true. You might think that you've never seen that before, and normally dogs are the ones who do that. But you would be surprised to know, if you're a cat person, that if you have a cat in your home and you are feeling sad, or maybe your daughter is crying, which happened in my case, the cat actually came and sat on my daughter's lap until she did not stop crying. So cats can show emotions, and at the same time, as I said, they're lovable creatures. They would just come and want love from you. For example, when I'm sitting over here, my cat often comes and jumps on my lap, and sometimes my laptop as well, which makes it very difficult to work. But at the same time, it shows that how much affection and love they want from others, and they develop a deep bonding with you. That is why when you are giving a cat to someone else, they need a good amount of time to settle in the new home, because they're so attached to you. So because of their loving nature, their easygoing nature, their reaction to your emotions, I would say that I really love cats. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Omar. I will tell you why you like the cat. Toastmaster Imran Rana, are you ready? You're not ready. So you want to participate or you want to skip?
I want to skip.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir. Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir, please unmute yourself. My questions. List out 3 animals.
Eagle, eagle and eagle.
Eagle and eagle. Both.
Yes. Eagle
2
and
eagles.
eagle. 3 eagles.
And all the eagles. Okay. Why you put the eagles on the 3rd also?
Because what eagles represent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to give my response to table topics.
Yes, please.
Okay, why I selected eagles. Number
At
one.
The 3rd place. At the 3rd place.
3rd place.
Mm-hmm.
The 3rd place, eagle, for one thing, flies high above the skies. Unlike turkeys who trot around on the ground. And we've heard that in order to succeed, you've got to fly like an eagle and not trot on the ground like a turkey. Secondly, eagles can spot their goal and objective from far away. They can spot a fish in the water or a mouse in a field from miles away. And once they decide what they want, once they set their eyes on their goal, they gather their strength and courage and then come flying down upon their prey and grab it and go back to their nest. So that's the reason why I like eagle, because of their flight, what they represent, how high they fly. And when there's a wind, disturbance, clouds, dark skies, they'll fly above that, unlike hiding like some other animals. Back to you, Mr. Tabletop Master.
Thank you, DTM Sarfaraz. As the last is open questions to anyone who want to participate. Okay, Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan, the same question. Name 3 animals.
Lion, tiger, leopard.
Okay, for you, you put the tiger on the second place. The first is a lion, second is a tiger, the third is a leopard. All is the same family. Why you put tigers on the second place?
Sure.
Your question, your time start now.
The tiger is from the cat family, but is a very different animal to the lion. The lion is the pride of the forest. It is an apex predator. It kills and consumes to keep the ecosystem in check and balance. The tiger in the second place only for one reason, and that reason is very simple. Unlike the lion, the tiger has the opportunity to be arboreal. It can actually climb trees, much like the leopard, and therefore, in my opinion, from a stealth and strength perspective, the lion stands apart, stands ahead, and is the apex predator. The second, very close to the lion but slightly different, is the tiger, and that's why I put the tiger in the second place. Of course, given a choice, if I could own one of these animals as my own personal pet, it would always be the tiger, simply because it just looks so magnificent. The black stripes on the yellow skin makes it stand out and makes for a great spectacle. But when it comes to the hierarchy of predators, I think the lion stands up, then comes the tiger, and then the leopard, because it is obviously smaller in size and hunts very differently. But all in all, these are 3 animals from the cat family, which are the epitome of courage, strength, stealth, and above all else, bravery. So that's why I've chosen these 3 animals, and the reason for the tiger being second is what I explained just now. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you very much. So nice of you. Let me explain why I was asking these questions about 3 animals. It shows your personality, your spouse, and your kids. If I'm asking you the first animals in first animal, that shows yourself. And the second animals, you are looking a quality of in your spouse. And the third animals, you want to your kids like that. So you have to now select yourself where you are. For example, if I'm going to Sridhar, he said the first is a giraffe. He want to be a giraffe, but he want a wife like an elephant and kid like a dragon. If I'm going to the Umar, he want himself like a cat and his spouse like a rabbit and his kid like an eagle. And if you will move to the third speaker, Sarfaraz, he's from the same family, eagle, eagle, and eagle. The fourth one is a lion for himself, and he's looking at the quality and the characteristics of his wife like a tiger, and he's looking his kid like a leper. So now you know your personality. So over to the TMOD. Yes, please.
My question, if someone has no children, then?
They are waiting for that. So over to the TMOD.
Thank you, Toast Table Topic Master of the Day, and thank you for proving me right and to show everyone why I say you Guru. Dear Toastmasters, with every section of Toastmasters, as you can see, we do check and adjust and we move on. And now the segment comes where the person who is the eye, ears, nose of the meeting, and now he will be the sound of the meeting. We are going for the Toastmaster DTM Sarfaraz Nazir, who is the Journal Evaluator of the day. Over to you, Journal Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Forum. Today's meeting has stimulated us. And before I give my general evaluation of the meeting, I'm going to ask the role players to provide the reports. We'll start with the Toastmaster Osama, our language evaluator. Toastmaster Osama.
Toastmaster Osama, once again, you're not audible. You know what to do. Yeah.
I hope I am audible now. Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmaster Sarfaraz Nazir. So, for the Toastmasters and guests, the word of the day was stimulate, and it was used by DTM Talha bin Hamid, DTM Sudarshan, and Toastmaster Sarfaraz. Now, I would be telling you some of the good use of the grammar. The more a man speaks, the less he's understood. It was really a thought-provoking to listen that. My silence is actually a space we create for communication. The goal of the communication should not be to win. Gentle breeze was blowing on a hot summer's days. It served as a stimulate to ponder deeply. Laugh and the world will laugh with you. Cry and you will cry alone. All our needs to have tons and tons of spices. We use oil to heat food. Some people use oil to heat food. We use oil as food. Because of loving nature, I really love them. These were some of the good uses of grammar. And apart from that, as I see majority of you are seasoned speakers, so it was difficult to, you can say, measure or see the bad use of grammar. So that's it from my side. And the stage is yours now, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Osama. And now I'll ask Toastmaster Imran Rana to give his timer report. Toastmaster Imran.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator DTM Sarfaraz Nazir. Okay, the keynote speaker took exactly 20 minutes. Okay, the first speaker, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, took 7 minutes and 34 seconds. I've already mentioned the timings of the first evaluation team, second evaluation team, they were all qualified. And for table topics, Toastmaster Sridhar, apologies if I'm mispronouncing, he took 2 minutes. Toastmaster Omar Shahid took 2 minutes. DTM Sarfaraz took 1 minute and 20 seconds. DTM Sudarshan took 1 minute and 48 seconds. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran. And before I give my general evaluation, I have a word of caution for all the male Toastmasters who are attending the meeting. Men, never ever say that you want your spouse to be like an elephant. If you do, you will never be attending this meeting again. My general evaluation Wonderful meeting. I like the theme of the meeting, rejuvenation, that our Toastmaster of the day discussed at the start of the meeting. Our Geek of the Week, DTM Saad Shoaib, movie about real life. Our speaker, first speaker was Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, and she talked about silence. It reminded me of the 1999 World Championship Public Speaking, which was won by Toastmaster Craig Valentine. His speech was about silence. And what I liked about his speech was he ended his speech. The last sentence was, Toastmasters, I leave you with this. And the audience, about 1,500 in the room, were waiting for him to say something. It took them a few seconds before they realized it was silence. He was not going to say anything. That's how he ended his speech. So this was a very good speech about pauses. Over the last few weeks, I've attended several speech contests, and I've noticed some of the speakers, they have so much material, their sentences run into each other. There's no pause between one sentence and the next sentence. So this was a nice speech. Silence, please. Our second speaker, Sudarshan, talked about vocal variety and gestures, etc. Lovely speech about tribute to Krishna. Our keynote, Desi food, why we don't eat right and what we need to do to eat right. The only thing missing was props. I would have liked DTM Talha to have a dish loaded with rice, then dal on top of it, then some yogurt on top of it, along with some meat pieces around it, floating in ghee or oil to show what he meant by the way we eat. And DTM Swarna to have a dish to show equal, small portions, half proteins and vegetables, etc., to show what a healthy plate looks like. That would have added some more variety to our keynote speeches. Lovely the way the keynotes was presented. Most often you have a single keynote speaker. This time we had two taking turns. Very well presented. Our table topics, nice way to present, asking each speaker to present 3 animals and then asking them to speak on one of the animals that they selected. Good choice. We got to hear about elephant, eagle, cat, etc. Meeting almost started on time. When it starts within a few minutes, we considered it on time. But as we went, we've gotten a little bit off track because of some of the changes to the agenda, etc. Overall, this was a super fantastic meeting. We had 11 to 14 members in attendance, and that's a good attendance for a Saturday morning meeting. I've enjoyed the meeting, great meeting, and now back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Journal Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, today we have gone through so much in a very short period of time. We see what the rejuvenation is, how the body and the mind and the soul can go through that one, what's the history of that, with the great speeches and the great keynote. Now, I will call upon our President of Quantum Leap to take few words about the day and hand over the meeting. Over to you, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh.
Thank you very much, TMOD Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti. Fellow Toastmaster, did you enjoy the meeting today? That's good. Give a big round of applause to Khurram Saeed Chishti. Mr. Vote Counter, are you ready, Toastmaster Talha, to make the announcement?
Yes, sir, I'm ready. First, the best speaker by default goes to DTM Sudarshan due to qualification. Best lead evaluator goes to yours truly. Best round robin evaluator goes to, once again, DTM Sudarshan. Congratulations. And the best table topics goes to our guest, Toastmaster Umar Shahid, but we'll only give you the certificate if you take up membership.
So this is a conditional.
Yeah. And best big three goes to, by a very narrow margin, because to be very honest, all three big role players received quite a few votes. But by a very narrow margin, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Khurram Saeed. Congratulations. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Didi. Fellow Toastmaster, any comments? Let's start with the Umar Shahid. Will you join the club to get the certificate?
I would join the club, inshallah, even if I don't get the certificate, because I think it's a good club. There's a lot of opportunities for me to learn here, and definitely you guys conduct things professionally, even though our club as well. If you guys ever get a chance to visit, I would love to invite you guys here to our club. We do things the same way as you guys are doing. But yes, it's good. The unique thing over here in this club is that people from around the world are participating and giving their, you can say, flavor to this Toastmaster club. And I think that is what makes this club very unique than other clubs, which are specifically from a single area. So definitely I look forward. The only thing obviously is this timing. I'm not sure if I can get up on Saturdays, every Saturday on 7 a.m., but I will try my best, and I look forward to becoming a part of this community as well.
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to have a membership in our club. And let's hear from DTM Sarfaraz. Will you join the club? Or you are already a member?
No, I'm not a member. I'm attending as a guest. I'm already a member of several clubs. So once I drop some clubs in the future, then I'll look into joining the club.
So we are in the pipeline.
That's correct.
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to have you in our club. Let's hear from Toastmaster Mubina. What is the power of silence?
You're muted.
You're muted, Toastmaster Mubina. Yes.
Yeah, I told you in my speech. In fact, I'm, as I just hinted in the speech, I have been throughout my life intimidated because of not saying much. So that is what leads to such kind of thoughts. I like to write more than speak. So
that's great. That's great. That's great. Let's
and
hear
I
from
think I seriously think that silence is a very powerful tool.
Oh, absolutely, you are right. Let's hear from DTM Sudarshan. You have 30 seconds. Sudarshan.
Yet again, we put up a great show. While the attendance was what it is, I think as a club, we take pride, and we should continue to do so in creating great meetings and content which is of value to each and every one of us. So kudos to my brother Talha and the rest of the ExCom to pull together such an eclectic bunch, and let's hope that we are able to attract more people. Maybe timing is an issue, but I don't think we should change, because we have value to deliver.
Oh, thank you very much, DTM Sudarshan. Let's hear from Toastmaster Imran Rana. Why you want to skip the table topics today?
Because I knew that you will.
You knew?
Yes.
About what?
We will talk about something about personality. So I decided, let's keep myself away from the table topic.
How you know?
Otherwise, what I would have told you, human, and human. And human is also a social animal.
See, maybe I have a different topic for you. You don't know about it. Okay, anyhow, let's move to Toastmasters Sridhar. You was here in the meeting room before me.
Yes, I was.
What is the reason you are before me?
No particular reason. I just so happens today I managed to have the time to attend. I've been wanting to attend for a long time, and DTM Talha has been kind enough to keep inviting me, but the timing has never been suitable. And for me to come and actually stay for the full meeting, I think it's the first full meeting I've stayed in for the entire time I've been with Quantum Leap. So I thought when I have time, I better log in before I forget. Because once I forget, I leave the computer, I will not come back until 1 hour later.
Oh, that's the reason you log in and run away, because I was saying hello Sridhar, and no answer from your side. Okay, we are just out of time now. It's 11 a.m. now, and by this I can adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much. It was an excellent meeting.